Something like 82% of problems that business owners have are people related. But that's not necessarily the person. Well, what's the true root problem in that situation? Is it Mary? Maybe it's Mary. Probably not Mary, and it's probably Mary's trying to do her best. And she needs support. She needs processes around her. She needs other people to pull their weight. We need to look at the whole process across the whole business and going, all right, well, lads, there's 20 steps in this process. We need to reduce, we need automation, we need AI. And therefore, that'll allow Mary to do her best work.
Willie McMahon, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here and looking forward to this for good fun now. Thank you.
Could we start just with a quick summary of your background? You're an EOS coach now, and just a quick summary of kind of how you ended up here and what got you here.
I started business in 2015, and over the course of the next 7 years, we scaled, completed a merger, scaled again, and exited in 2022.
You're now an EOS coach. What does that mean exactly, and how is it kind of helpful to people?
I help business owners and leadership teams get what they want from their business using the tools of EOS. So EOS is a model. It's a toolbox, and you use the appropriate tool from the model at the right time. It brings structure, clarity. There's a lot of business owners and leadership teams who keep hitting ceilings, a literal ceiling, and they solve a problem and they don't know how to break through to the next thing. And EOS is designed to just bring clarity and bring tools and structure and vision to that organization. So it's a structure, it's a structured system, and my job is to get in there, teach that team how to use the tools, and for me to get out. I'm not meant to stay on forever.
We're going to talk about EOS and dig in a little while, but I want to start with your business journey and exactly what it was that you did, because, and I know, and you've explained to me before, right? Calibration, it's sort of, to me, I just put it in with engineering or chemical engineering or something. Could you explain the kind of business that you were in and what you did for people?
So calibration, instrumentation is what my career has been for a long time. Started an apprenticeship in Tower Mines back in 94. And that was an incredible journey. Mining industry. Went on there to a pharmaceutical engineering company, environmental company between Cork and Dublin. That was exposure to a lot of different industries, agencies, and that was going so successful with they were a distributor, and the distributor came in and says, thank you very much, we're taking back the distributorship, and things fell apart. And from that, I joined an American organization and was with them for 14 years. So calibration is the simplest term, and I know one I've spoken to you about before, is the 20 litres of petrol. When you pull up at a petrol station, you put 20 litres of petrol into your car. How do you know it's 20 litres? You want to buy 20. The shop owner wants to sell you 20. He doesn't want to sell you 21. You don't want to be buying 19. So somebody has calibrated that petrol pump. Now, the pharmaceutical industry, the manufacturing industry, the food industry, they need calibrations done every day to a completely different standard than a petrol pump, right? So milk gets pasteurized to an exact temperature. That has to get recalibrated every month. If you're making the latest, greatest drugs, you need 1 milligram of that ingredient and 5 milligrams of the next ingredient. That weighing scale needs to be calibrated. It then needs to be moved into an oven and cooked for 1 hour. Well, it's not an hour and 5 minutes, it's an hour, and it has to be exact. So depending on the industry and the need and the criticality of that, there is more calibration happening. It's done to a different standard, and that has been the career all through.
Who are the big players in calibration? Can you kind of give me an idea of the industry? Because this is something that I haven't heard before I spoke to you first, or since, right? I've only ever heard it from you, and it's because of the industries I'm in. I'm not in kind of engineering, or I don't have an engineering background.
Calibration is it falls under an engineering discipline. Electrical instrumentation is technically the apprenticeship or the route. There's a lot of connected college courses now supporting it. So instrumentation, calibration is used interchangeably.
Did you fall into it? Because
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and I was asked this question: how'd you get into this? And I says, oh well, my because I grew up on a farm in North County Meath. And coming up to Leaving Cert, I was booked into Warrenstown Agricultural College, all signed up, had done the open day and everything. And then I applied for this apprenticeship in Tower Mines and got the apprenticeship. And at that stage, they give it out before the Leaving Cert results. So I was going, brilliant, right? Don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going in to do this apprenticeship. And it was at that point that we said, oh, you're not going to Warrenstown anymore because beef farming, you don't make money in beef farming. And my father knew it. And he says, you're taking the apprenticeship. And it was the right thing to do. And I've loved it. And yeah, it was one of those things. I knew plenty of people around Tower Mines, within Tower Mines. So I knew it was a good industry, a good job. And I learned a lot out of it.
I suppose you had a kind of was it a 16-year career but prior to actually starting your own business?
Probably, yeah, it is. It's in that league. So I was with that American multinational. I had covered everything from service engineer to lead engineer. Then as an engineer, I ended up becoming very successful at sales. Then it was formalized into a sales position. Then I went into contract management, and I had to go back and do, because they ran out of engineers. It was a bit messy. I ended up being a contract manager 2 days a week and a service engineer 3 days a week. So they were really moving away from the calibration industry, and there was no growth for them in that. And there was a massive focus with them on the oil and gas industry, which is not predominant in the northeast of Ireland. So there was a few bits and pieces. A local company beside me did an ad in, it's going to be end of 2014 for a service manager, calibration service manager. I said, all right, this is 2 miles up the road. I said, right, went to them, had the interview, and they really focused on agencies, how to get agencies for products. And I want to say, well, if we get the agency for this, we'll make money by just being the agent. I was going, oh, sorry, I'm after working for a manufacturer for 14 years. I don't really know how to get other agencies, but I'm sure it couldn't be that difficult. So I came out of the interview anyway, and the thought was still in my mind. And over the course of another few days, I rang 5 companies that under that American company, would buy extra bits off, bits to support what we did. So over the course of 2 days, I got feedback from the owners of those businesses that they give me 15, 20, 25% discount if I, with this other company, was to represent them in Ireland. Oh, there's no problem at all. So then I rang back to the crowd I did the interview with, wouldn't talk to me. I was going, I need to do this on my own.
Yeah.
Why would I go to them? And that is where, between the frustration, and I come back to frustration later, but frustration is massive. It's the massive thing where you go, the pain of doing this thing over here is less than the pain of doing this thing over here. And so I had a level of frustration in me that just needed, okay, I have a plan. And I resigned within a month. I resigned and I had no business set up. I said, I'm stopping, I'm done. This is, I was put on garden leave immediately because I obviously said I'm setting up in competition with my current employer. I was put on garden leave immediately. And within 2 weeks, got a phone call. All right, we can't get anyone to replace you. Can you come back in and do 2 days a week? So I came back in, continued setting up my own company, took on new customers, and then the company I was leaving, said, we need you 3 days a week. They couldn't get anyone. And I serviced those contracts, and that worked well for a long time. And I grew my own customer base and serviced that whole employer.
And up to that point, Willie, like, had you, you know, it sounds like there when you were telling the story that you just were like, oh, there's an opportunity here, I'll do it. But was it ever in the back of your mind that I think I probably do want to do something on my own eventually?
No. It was that interview where they focused on agencies, and then I just got up from the interview and went out, rang 5 companies, and they all says, yeah, Willie, if you represent us in Ireland, we'll give you 15%, 20%, 25%. I go, oh, that's grand. And I tried ringing them, and I've never got that phone call back. And I'm going, thank you. I'm going to do this.
So was it, once you kind of knew that they would sign up to you once you had a kind of business and everything, what did that look like? Was it just ring them back and say, I now have a business, can I be the agent?
I rang those suppliers. I started dealing with them. So primarily I was going around calibrating temperature, weighing scales, pressure, flow meters, various instrumentation that was in manufacturing industries, solving a problem. Those customers needed that problem solved, and I was there to solve it.
Did anyone have the agency previously though?
No, they would just take a sale, whereas I was now promoting them, and it was a compliment. I offered a service, and I offered the equipment those companies were supplying. So if I went to a site and identified, oh, you need a new flow meter, you need a new weighing scales, you need a new temperature probe, I can help you. I'll give you a price. I'll fit it. I'll install it. I'll come back in 6 months and calibrate it. And that solved the problem for customers.
And was it a one-man band just at the start? Yeah. And how long until you kind of decided to grow it?
How long? I learned a lot from this story. I thought I needed another me. I really did. I thought I needed somebody with a lot of experience in the industry and ability to talk to customers. And I was very focused on that word, to be able to communicate with customers and listen. And I took on a South African guy who was after moving to Ireland, but he was living in Tipperary. And there was a commitment at that stage that he would move up, but that he had to relocate the family and find a house and all of that. And I says, all right, okay, well, look, I'll put you up in a hotel for 4 weeks. That'll give you time to do it. And we did that, and he was brilliant. And something wasn't happening at home, in home life. And it obviously was that the family wasn't willing to move. So, and he was a brilliant guy, and he took a load of weight off me. And then I got a text message on a Sunday night at 10:30 or 11 going, Willie, I can't do this, and you're the best employer I've ever had. And just reading it going, all right, this is over. And he came up the next morning from Tipperary and handed back workbooks and work gear and every piece of equipment and paperwork and says, Willie, sorry. And I needed that lesson. And again, this is me learning. I needed that lesson to realize I didn't need another me. And it's comical how some of these things all come together. In the weeks after that, I started weeks or months. I'm not sure the exact timeline on this. In the weeks and months after that, I started interviewing, and I interviewed another guy, and he put down a reference for who became my business partner in the merger. So I rang the referee to get an opinion on this guy, and he says, yeah, maybe. I says, well, and I didn't really know. So this is Kevin I'm ringing. So Kevin is saying, what are you looking for? And turns out Kevin had to let one of his lads go because he was after losing a contract, the contract was postponed for 6 months or something like that. So, and he didn't have enough work to carry him. So that had happened that day. I'm ringing him for a reference. I interviewed that guy the next day, and he came into me. But he was a graduate, a guy called Paul. And Paul knew the ropes but grew with me. I didn't need another me. I needed somebody who I could transfer my knowledge to, who wanted to grow. And then within a month of Paul joining, I took on my first apprentice in instrumentation. I had got registered with Solus to bring in on another apprentice, which had been my journey through the whole thing. And Stephen's still there, absolute. Paul, Stephen, absolute brilliant people. But to watch those people grow and get confident in themselves and lead other people, and one of the proudest things I've ever seen happening is when I see them two training the next generation. And that gets me. Really, that's where I get my purpose now, in seeing people grow and going, okay, well, I helped them, I trained them, I grew them, they are brilliant people. And now I see them training the next generation. And that's gone. Yeah.
What about goals at the start? So you kind of had this business all of a sudden, you had a few agencies, you had a few customers, one-man band. And obviously you started taking on these people slowly but surely. But was it a thing that you were thinking, okay, I'm going to get, I'm going to scale this up to 10 people, or I'm going to scale it up to, 45, as to whatever you became eventually? Like, did you have an outcome in mind or something, in 10 years time, I think this could be this?
Not that far ahead. We were on our 3-month sprints. That's as far as we were really able to look at that stage, because we were so tight on cash. This was bootstrapping. And I don't have a positive experience around our established banks in Ireland, I'm afraid. 95% of businesses that start up fail. Therefore, we're not going to help. And it wasn't there. I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't getting given. So was there a goal? There was a goal to be profitable, to enjoy it, and to bring a brilliant service. That the service credibility, that to prove. So at that stage, you're proving to yourself. Because now I can look back and go and say, yeah, that was a mad idea, and sure, I knew it was going to be a success. Did I? And sometimes you have to go with those mad ideas and going, yeah. And because a lot of people look at you going, you're starting a business, you're taking on people, you're taking on risk, debt. It's tough. And I know there wasn't a support network. That was 2015. Really, I didn't enter a support network until 2018. And so it was hard going. We had a business coach. We've got massive support from the LEO, the local enterprise office. I have to credit them for a lot of things. They give us mentors. You pay €100 and you get somebody for 8 hours because the local enterprise office is subsidising it. And they challenged us. What are you going to do? What's the target for the next month? What's the target for the next 3 months? And I go back to the 90 days as one of those coaches really pushed us. And then we eventually hired him privately ourselves on 90-day sprints to what do we need to do? Where are we going to get to? And I remember we had an invoice target, €43,000 per month. And it's when you hit some of those things that you look back a year later or 2 years later, you go, do you remember when we were trying to achieve €43,000 per month invoicing? And you realise, yeah, now we're doing 200,000 per month. It's a different time. Really enjoyed it though.
And for the cash side of things and the invoicing, like, what way does the industry work? Is it you get a customer and then you have to service them for how long until you actually get paid?
So there's a mix, and it depends on the size. So the larger customers, we had a structure where we were actually taking the total work for the year, dividing it by 12 and giving them an invoice on the first of the month. So that improved our cash flow. So even if we had a month with no work with that customer, we were getting 1/12 Yes, on the other side, we might do work equivalent to 2/12ths, and we only got 1/12 to pay. But the benefit of cash flow in a startup business was more important than having the right amount in the right month and none in the wrong month. So that was, now you had a smaller customer, you go in and you do 1 day's work. Okay, you send them an invoice as you walk away, job done. So it was, I think at one stage we had 3 or 4 different invoicing structures on how we bring in cash. Some of it was to manage and enable cash flow for the business to ensure growth. And then others was, well, the job is done, I'll send an invoice. Because the 1/12th model per month works lovely if you're doing a service thing. But if you're supplying a box, well, obviously the bill gets sent. Now, if the box is really valuable, you might send 50% up front. You might send 25% delivery and 25%, whatever you could get away with. So, like, throughout this time from, I started in mid-15, and then my wife, Claire, she was obviously helping me get started up as well. I wasn't doing all of this on my own. So she was part-time in another job as an employee, and then 2016, at some stage, Claire joined me full-time. And that really helped accelerate. You can't do these things on your own. You can't. You need good people around you.
When you say accelerate there, so before you did the merger, was it about 4 years from when you started? So 4 years. Throughout that time, was there a kind of a moment or a point where you got to, okay, I'm now paying myself either equivalent to the salary that I would have been making or a little bit more or whatever? Was there ever a kind of you could exhale a little bit and say, okay, this is actually, it's a bit more stable and I'm okay?
That moment comes when you realize you are an employer. And I know I took on the team around me, but you do wake up one morning and you do end up realizing, oh, I'm responsible for these people. I'm responsible for the wage that they're bringing home every month to their families. And I'm very proud of everything we've done, because there's loads of people that'll tell you it shouldn't work and you're mad. I'm going, yeah, Grant, it's fun. But I am very proud of what we have achieved. I'm proud of the culture that we created. We had other great people with us as well in that office, and it grew. Things worked. 1 and 1 became 3, and that's where the success happened. Another guy rang me up, I'd say about 4 or 5 months after we started. He says, you doing calibrations? I'm going, yeah. He says, you supplying instruments? I'm going, yeah. I'll send you a list. All right. He was after going out to work in a pharmaceutical company above in Iceland, the country. And he was the 40th person going into that organization. And he says, Willie, I need all of this. And there was 3 of this and 4 of this and 5 of that. And I says, God, this is unbelievable. This is setting up a brand new pharmaceutical. They had massive requirements. So I worked with them. And I still, well, obviously, I'm no longer in the business, but I worked with them. They are still a customer of that calibration business, because there's no calibration support network in Iceland. There's no suppliers in Iceland. There's no agencies in Iceland. So we supplied a load of equipment. And one of the regrets out of that, he says to me, we need 4 engineers. And I was 4 months into business. I'm going, oh, I can't. I'm only here working in North County Meath. I can't supply you 4 engineers. You'll have to go to the big boys. That's what they'll do. And it turned out they only ever took on 1. I never took the opportunity because it was too big for me.
What would the opportunity have looked like?
Sending 4 engineers over to Iceland, managing that project, a complete build of a pharmaceutical factory. It would have been massive. It was too risky. If it had gone sideways, it would have brought me down. It would have killed the business. I didn't have the capital or the experience to run it. If I had a 4-person job in Ireland, you'd be going, okay, just tough. a 4-person job in Iceland, language, accommodation, unknown costs, unknown rules. You're going, oh, there could be a surprise here very quickly.
In that sense, though, was that maybe a good decision? I know you said you regret it, but it does seem like you kind of
It
weighed
was the
up the
right
risk.
decision at the right time.
Mm.
And he did honestly think there was going to be 4. There was meant to be 4 engineers for that job. It probably needed 4 at some stage. It only ever got 1. But we continued to sell loads of equipment to that customer, and every piece and where it evolved into then is we managed all of their calibrations. So every piece of equipment they have, they would send it to us. We would identify the right calibration company, because we can only calibrate up to a level. Okay, you need fancier, more accurate, more stability. You send it on to a specialist lab. So we would take it in from Iceland, we would manage it, and we would ship it out. We would take it back in from that lab. We would review everything. Everything's conditions is good, no damage, certs are done perfectly, and we would ship it back to Iceland. So we were a middleman in a way, but we were providing a brilliant service, because that company in Iceland did not need to have 50 suppliers across Europe. They had 1 supplier in Europe who knew calibration. So we got all our calibration over.
Talk to me a little bit about fear. So that decision, you kind of get landed with an opportunity, right? And there's this, oh, that would be amazing, but I can't do it. There's just no way. I have this fear, right? And I know it was reasoned, right? But there was an element, it sounded like to me, of fear. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think fear is something that, you know, we all face, right, in business or otherwise. And I think it's just a really interesting concept in a way, because it stops us from doing things that actually might be good for us.
And it does stop us from doing things that might be good for us, and you have to have that balance. But there's a level of fear where if this goes pear-shaped, it's actually going to destroy us. And it's a managed decision, and you should sleep on it. You definitely should. You should talk to other people who have walked the road. I know there's people who will say, Willie, don't go out on your road. You have a brilliant pension. That's the best pension in Ireland, and you're getting a great salary, and you have a car. Don't leave that and set up on your own, you madman. But there is things where you have to do, and it's the level. It's coming down to, I'm back to the word frustration. Is the frustration of doing A more than the frustration of doing B? Where do I feel in that frustration? And that frustration ebbs and waves throughout life. And there is a fear in doing things. And I, within a few minutes of hearing 4 engineers in Iceland, I'm going, no, God, no, that's just simply too far out of the way. I'm brought back to another time where I got a massive contract beside me, and I was the agent again. Everton new factory being built. I went in and I represented it. I worked all the specs out. I did all the communications, and then suddenly we're getting the price on the quote is going up, and it's equivalent to my entire turnover for one project. I'm going, no, the risk here is too big. And everybody was getting on well with everyone. It was managed well. And I said, okay, I have to stop here now, right? I'm going to take my cut. I'll take the margin I have, but factory, manufacturer, yous do the invoice to each other. And I got my cut. My cut was perfect, paid me tax on it, lovely, but I didn't have any risk with that cut. And they interacted between each other because it was just too big. Like it was the equivalent of my turnover for a whole year to take it into one project. And they got on great, and I sold loads. I still remained the service company, and I went in and I sold spares, and if there was one instrument required, I sold that, and it was all good. But by doing that, I de-risked the whole transaction. And the company, the manufacturer was happy, that the new company was happy, the person selling the equipment was happy, I was happy, and we're going, great, win-win everywhere, and de-risked it. And in later years, you might take on more risk, but you have to learn. It's wisdom. Wisdom kicks in.
All these decisions, and I suppose you're mentioning it there, right? Wisdom. It's either kind of learned the hard way, or it's learned maybe through a mentor or something like that. You're now an EOS coach, and we'll come back to the kind of journey and the merger and everything in a moment. Um, how did you discover EOS at this stage? Was there something to do? I know we talked about the accelerator with the entrepreneurs organization, which is now going to be called Nexus for anyone that accelerator name is gone. But did you kind of meet these concepts or kind of help at this stage in the journey?
Yes is the answer. I'm not sure when I first became aware of Traction. So Traction is definitely the book. So I'll bring you back to September 2018. It's random how these things happen, and I use the word synchronicity here in my life when I see it, and I can't explain it. But anyway, one evening I went down to my mother-in-law living next door and to just drop in something, and she says, "Here, I'm finished with the paper." I was going, "All right, you might read it." Going, "All right," and I brought it home. Right, I don't buy newspapers. It's the local newspaper. I don't buy it. And I says, "All right." Made a mug of tea, sat down at the kitchen table, turning over pages, going, "There's an accelerator program starting in Calyx." I'm going, "Oh, this is interesting." So I rang the number, and there was terms and conditions. You had to be at this. It's not a startup; it's a scale up. And joined that, met incredible people. There was a lot of I remember a lot of the people I met on that first night, and it was absolutely brilliant, an introduction night, and it just felt right. I needed this at this stage. This was 2018, so
This was Kells specifically?
it was based out of Kells.
Okay.
Don't know why, really, but it was just based out of Kells. It was covering Ireland, but it was based out of Kells, which is my next town. You're going, all right, this is in my next town, and going, we'll give this a run. So went in anyway to the first day, and I was going, oh, there was 22 of us that first day, and I remember sitting beside, and I had a very famous artist on my left-hand side, oil painting. I was going, what am I doing here? How could I have anything in common with this man? And on my right-hand side, sitting at the table, was a man who ran a physio business. I go, this is a mistake. What have I done? But that accelerator program showed me the fundamentals of running business. And I would encourage anyone, be it accelerator, be it Nexus, be it anything, you have to have a peer group. And you will only grow your business to the level that you, the owner, are willing to grow. You have to open up to a vulnerability where I don't know everything. And not everyone by any means, but to truly succeed, I do think you have to become vulnerable. You have to be open, be willing to go, Willie, you're wrong. And Willie needs to put up his hand and say, yeah, actually I'm wrong.
Can you remember an example from that time that was maybe something you needed to learn that was maybe a little bit hard to learn, but it kind of opened a door for you? Or so, it doesn't have to be a huge thing, but can you just remember one thing you kind of learned throughout that period that was a difficulty or blind spot for you?
I'm afraid none stand out. It was constant learning. We had incredible mentors. We had to do presenting to each other, and that gives you a vulnerability. You do build connection with other people, and you realize, okay, I'm going through the same problems as they are, and be that. And sometimes you delve into the area of relationships outside of work, and if those relationships are breaking down, your work life is not in a healthy, or may not be in a healthy place. So you do build connection and growth, and you want to see other people succeed. It's absolutely not a credit, what do you call it, a business card sharing thing. Oh, you must recommend me and I'll recommend you. That's not what this is about. This is the opposite of this. And you see other people come and go. Some people are not willing to share open. Some people want a lifestyle business, and I've thought about this afterwards. I've never wanted a lifestyle business where, oh, I'm making X amount and that's grand. If I make X amount plus 0.5% next year, that'll come inflation. That was never me. I was hungry for something else. I don't know. I loved working with good people, and we had a massive focus for us was culture and core values, core purpose. Where are we going? Having the right people with you and getting rid of the wrong people. And it's amazing how when you have the right people around you, 1 and 1 becomes 3 again. And you're not fighting, you're working together to make that success.
That could we just pause there for a second, because your background, this whole calibration engineering thing, and we talked a little bit beforehand. Maybe I wouldn't say that overall that engineers are thinking about intangible things like culture and values and right.
I'm not cold.
But I wouldn't say it's typical, let's say, in this area of business, that it comes naturally to people. So was that something that maybe you picked up during this time, or the importance of it, or was it something that kind of came on?
It definitely was. And look, I have to credit my wife Claire with driving parts of this culture as well. Like, she's fun. She's more empathetic than me, and like, I'm not cold, but I see it's back to, you cannot do this on your own. You need incredible people around you, and I have Claire, and that's where. And not everyone can work with their wife. I get that, right? I love working with my wife, and have done for years. And there's times we kill each other like in that. But definitely from a cultural perspective, like Claire, we all had fictional characters, right? And it's a bit mad, but what does it mean? So what was going on was, when you went out to site, you were not in the office. So there was a representation of you in the office. And it was a bit of fun, and it was sort of, oh, we'll pick a fictional character and we'll buy the fictional character and we'll put it on a shelf. And the shelf grew and grew. And then everyone had a fictional character. It was a bit of madness. But then it turned into an interview thing. You're going, oh, Conor, thank you for coming in here today. It's great to see you. Look at your technical things is all very perfect. By the way, one of the things we do here is we all have fictional characters. Can you tell me what your fictional character would be if you were to work here? If Conor suddenly goes blank face, you're going, Conor's not a fit here. If Conor responds with, I've been waiting for somebody to ask me this question for the last 20 years. This is my people. And you ended up with people that are going, and they go home and ask their kids, going, what fictional character should I be? And get an answer.
Now, would this be a well-known, like, Mickey Mouse, and they would have reasons for that? Okay, right. So, well, not just someone they're coming up with.
No, it wasn't just someone. It
Yeah.
was obviously Disney and Marvel was obviously a massive thing, but it brought fun. It brought connection. It brought community. It brought a bar that says, these are a group of people that I want to be with, or these are absolutely a group of people I don't want to be with, and I'm going back to the job ads. It just brought fun. And we used it in marketing, we used it in connection, we used it in that interview. And as simple as that question is in an interview, you suddenly filter out, if the person's going, no, you're going, oh, great, look, thanks for coming today. It's been lovely seeing you. And sure, hopefully you'll find something.
Did it matter what their fictional character was? So even if they said
there was 10 Batman.
Serial killer from
You know?
Yeah. But would there have been a red flag if someone didn't say Batman, but they said, you know, whatever the
Some people don't, and I go back to that young lad Stephen, and I can't think of what one he had, but he had the boy in the kid out of in the nappy, and he had a screwdriver in his hand, and think of it afterwards. But he went and spent time looking to see what his fictional character would be to best represent him. And some of it was, I'm strong, I'm big, I want to be fast. That's my representation. Some of it is, I have long blonde hair and I like wearing a dress, and I'm a fairy princess because she has long blonde hair and she loves dresses. And you're going, so it was a visual connection. It was a superpower connection. It was, what do my kids actually perceive me as? So it was very, but it just opened up. It opened up a connection where people could go, I'm a little bit mad, you're a little bit mad, everybody here is a little bit mad. Isn't it great? And we got the work done. We got the work done. And we understood each other, and it just grew and grew. Because we were service, there was a lot of service people. Like at the end of Calyx, there was 45 people across Ireland. And there was only maybe up to 15, 20 in the office. So the rest of them were represented by a fictional character on a shelf. And how simple it was to say, well, look, the whole team is here in the office. It's a bit of madness. Bit of fun.
Who was yours? Who was your
I was Merlin the Wizard.
Tell me why.
Bit mad, bit magical, bit mystical. Did he exist? Did he not exist?
Those are very strange things for you to say about, if you're the CEO of this business. And I said, why are you Merlin the Wizard? And you said, I'm a bit magical and a bit mystical. And who am I? Where am I really?
There was a thing at the time where Merlin could pull out of the bag. I went, yeah, I'm cool with that. And my wife is Mary Poppins. And happy, singing, caring. And it just worked, and it's just a bit of fun. And it brought joy to, we didn't talk about it every day. It's not like we it's not like a daily routine being, I mean,
Sure.
but it absolutely allowed us to filter, to grow, to talk, to say, to talk to new people incoming. When we went through all the conversations about acquisition, some companies didn't get. And I recently posted about the first inquiry that we had. They didn't get. And that helped us go, you're not the right company. So it was a massive way of understanding, are we working with the right people? And I'm not saying every company should have this, but if you're a little bit mad and you're listening to this, you're going, right, what mad thing can we do? And go figure out fictional characters. Yeah, bit of fun. On the final, when we eventually sold Calyx, the company that bought us, we signed the documents and says, right, that's great. Shake hands, lovely, everything great. We're just going to go up here to this next room now, and we're going to have a little glass of champagne. Just beautiful. So I went up, had a glass of champagne, and we're all going clink, 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 clink. And he says, there's a little gift. I opened the box. It was a Danish guard. Do you know the tall, wooden, slightly square-legged, square-armed, really tall hat? So a formal dress guard that would stand outside a castle or a palace.
Yeah.
Which is traditional with Denmark, Copenhagen. It was a Danish company that bought us, and they gifted us that Danish Royal Guard to put in with the rest of the fictional characters. And
Amazing.
just went, they get us. And they did. It meant so much.
Take me back to the merger. So by the time did you merge with, was Calyx the name of the company, or was it a new name?
2015 we were Trefoil. And up to 2018, I really didn't know Kevin at all. So Kevin's company was Eurotech. He was based in Kells, next town. We were doing the same thing. We were doing a bit more instrument sales than him. He was 95% service. He had more people. And it was him that I rang. It was him that I rang on to get that reference. And then sort of we started working together, and then I'd start hiring some equipment off him. And he then hired people back off me to do work. And then Kevin approached me and says, we need to bring this together. I'm going, all right, okay. So we started conversations. And in the space of 3 months, we said, yeah, let's do this.
What were the key things for you in that? Can you remember what what your kind of non-negotiables were, or what kind of made you do it?
Non-negotiables were that we enter at 50% shareholding. And that was, yeah, okay, grand. So we had to do a bit of financial movement to get that happening. That worked, but we worked. We definitely needed a new office. His office he was at capacity, we were at capacity. So we needed a brand new office. And actually, we didn't realize it at the time, but the physical, mental, I'm digressed for a second, the physical, mental activity of everybody moving into a new office meant I was not moving into your office and you weren't moving into my office. It was much more impactful than we realized. Anyway, digress there. What was the non-negotiables? We were equal. The three of us were equal. So myself, Kevin and Claire were equal in the running of it. There was no managing director. And it just grew and grew and grew. We started at 14 and we had a great vision. Within 2 years, we're going to have an accredited laboratory. Well, within 2 months, we had a phone call from a pharmaceutical site in the Midlands and says, Harry, could you supply us 2 engineers full-time for 12 months? And we're going, absolutely, no problem. And then a month later, we had a phone call from a company in Dublin going, hi, could you supply us 2 engineers for 12 months full-time? Went, no problem. And it grew and it just exploded. We moved into a new office in May. We really started trading as Calyx in 1st of June 19. We started trading as Calyx and it just exploded.
Talk to me a little bit about the kind of operational side. So as long as you can get customers and your marketing and sales, say, is going well, great. There's pipeline there, there's business coming in. But how that business gets done, right, impacts your ability to be able to grow. So when you're saying they needed 2 engineers, was it you had a bench of engineers there, or was it we go out with the expertise and find the engineers and then kind of second them?
Those 2 examples were secondment. So basically, we went out and found engineers. We did the interviews. We spec'd them. They were our employees, our quality standards. And they went into site. And sometimes they'd need, I need 1 qualified engineer and I need 1 junior. Or I need 2 qualified engineers, whatever. And they would have an agreement. Or I need somebody at a level that can come in and run a job. So it was all dependent.
And I suppose that made it a little bit easier that you didn't have to hire people and train them and then ship them out. So it made it easier from that standpoint. Was there risk, say, if someone needed someone for 6 months and you employ that person kind of on a permanent basis? What were the kind of the little...
So there is a risk there, but what we had, we had an established field service team. So the field service team would go to your site Monday, the next site on a Tuesday, and they'd be back to you next Monday again. So that field service team would go up and down in the amount of people on it, the skill level, experienced 10 years plus, to I have a 3rd-year apprentice. And that went up and down. And if you seconded somebody out to a customer for 12 months, and at 6 months they went, sorry, lads, we're closing the gates. And you're going, okay, I'll take back in that engineer back into our field service team, okay? But that buffer of the field service team allowed us to grow and to scale and to go fast. And you have a phone call saying, how are you doing? I need somebody in 2 weeks' time. You're going, yeah, no problem. I have somebody here who will get us operational. We can then start interviews and get you your final person. And the buffer of that field service team, now it did mean a lot of new people were coming in and out of the service. You had your established people in your field service team, but you had a lot of people transitioning through. They would come into field service, they would get trained, and then they would go out to that secondment role. But one of the things that I really pushed and I still see it to this day is that field service team. That's where you learn. You see 100 different ways of a customer making something. you go into pharmaceutical sites that were commissioned a week ago, and you go into pharmaceutical sites that were commissioned in the 1970s, and you're going, how are they still going? And food processing, stainless steel manufacturing, loads of different places. So you see modern, you see old, you meet customers who are complete idiots, and they're shouting and roaring around the place, and you're going, okay, that's what an idiot looks like. I don't need to come back here tomorrow. You do your job, and you're going, I'm glad I don't work here every day. And then you go into some sites, and there's customers there, and they do the work for you. And you go, can I get you anything else? Here, I'll bring the ladder over for you, right? How are you? Thank you so much for doing this. That's great and lovely. And you go, wow, that's a gentleman. And you would do anything to help that man. So, and then the field service and it's tough. Field service is tough. It's not for everyone, because you're on a site every different. You might have. I come to your site, Connor, every Monday. Grand. I might, and then there's other customers where you go in one day a year. That's okay.
Well, that I was actually going to ask you about that, because let's say you got someone for a project of 6 to 12 months, and they're like that project, they like what they're doing, they like sitting at the same desk every day, and they like the people. Then all of a sudden that project ends, and you're like, you have to go around to all these other places. Did you come across?
They will either have to make a decision themselves and going, I want to have my coffee break at the same table every day. I like you as people. I can't do the driving around.
Okay.
And everyone's grown ups and says, and I recognize, it took me a while to recognize that. Whereas I'll go the opposite and saying, I don't want to sit at the same coffee table every day. I want to meet, now I want to work with people who are not idiots, right, Garn? I'm not looking for idiots, but I want to help lots of people. And any field service job like that is a massive, incredible accelerator of your learning, because you are seeing different industry, different people. You're seeing a small startup, you're seeing an established manufacturing site. But there is people who absolutely, I have one guy in mind who needed to be in the same site every day and park in the same spot in the car park and lunch at the same table, and came back into field service and went, I can't do this, lads. I'm looking, I'm going to have to go. And you go, that's okay. But it's not because of the job. It's because of their needs and their wants, the stability that they needed in their life. And whether they moved to a different secondment role or they left the organization, that's okay.
What about the sales side of the growth during this period? So what did that look like, and how did you kind of bring business in the door?
Marketing. Our marketing was targeted towards the growth. Our marketing was targeted towards the growth, new customers and new employees. That was the two biggest problems we had. Getting people, and that led to a training requirement. But anyway, that was good. And getting customers, and then a lot of customers came looking for it. We became the third option in Ireland. The two big boys were there, and we became a viable third option. And we actually got, do you know when somebody copies you and you're going, oh, they're copying our style.
It's a compliment. It's annoying, but it's a compliment,
It's
right?
annoying. And you're sort of going, all right, I must do something right. So that is where we marketing. We put a lot of effort into marketing.
Tactically, what did that look like? Was it
Everything from website culture. We did a lot on culture. Again, we set up We Are Calyx, which was predominantly aimed at attracting talent. So it wasn't the corporate website. The corporate website was Calyx. We Are Calyx was the culture. And we could be a bit freer with that. We could be a bit more fun. Oh, here's pictures of us at our Easter celebrations. And it attracted people. And then that got talking in the industry, and Instagram, LinkedIn. We went to a lot of fairs. We put a lot of work into training. So we did a lot of work with the apprenticeship boards. Actually Calyx won Apprenticeship Employer of the Year.
And what about the other side? So when you said Instagram there, I think, yeah, well, there's definitely potential employees and potential people that would work for you that would be on Instagram, but I can't imagine. Well, I suppose
None of
the
your customers.
COO of it. Yeah,
No,
exactly. So,
no.
so on the customer side, how did you kind of bring in
That
customers?
was LinkedIn. Target would be at that stage was the head of quality or the head of engineering, and it depending on the site. There's no real rule on that. Sometimes the calibration function fell under engineering, sometimes it fell under quality, and there was no logic as to which was which.
And was it, I know, getting a bit granular, but paid advertising on LinkedIn or just growing the connections?
Paid.
And it worked well.
It worked well. We scaled after the merger. The company tripled. We went from 14 people to 45 in 3 years. We added 20 people in COVID. COVID kicked in and everything shut down. I'm going, oh, lads, you can't shut down. I remember one customer and they had calibrations due within a week. And they're going, no, don't come to site. I was going, all right. And then 2 weeks went by. I was going, you better come in. You need to wear masks and you need to do da-da-da-da. And I'm going, yeah, we do need to come in because you are still taking in your raw product. Has to come in. It has to go out. And your calibrations are due. And that's one thing with calibration. If Connor has 100 calibrations in 2025, he's probably going to have 105, 110 in 2026, or he's shutting the gate. It's either of those options. It's really not. It's not going down to 90 calibrations. So recurring, and that's the beauty of calibration market. It's sorry, we'll go back to marketing. We did a lot, and as simple as some of it was mad, some of it a lot of people didn't they would know us for temperature. Oh, you used to do temperature probes, great, but don't know you didn't know you did weighing scales. So as simple as the wedding favours, the little sweets that you get. You go to a wedding and they leave a little single sweet in front of you. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see you, and hope you join us for our special day. Went out and got 100 of those in little boxes and put a Calyx sticker on it, and sent it out with every box that we're going, just to raise awareness and put a note in with it. Do you realise we do da-da-da-da? And we got feedback from that because the lad opening the box in the warehouse was going, thank you, didn't know yous were doing that. I'm going to now start sending yous these other bits and pieces here. The wedding favour cost us like 80 cents. The sticker cost us 5, and the flyer pence. The whole thing was like €1.50 per box.
And I think also in this day and age, right, when it's just there's a constant barrage of emails coming through every day, and I'm just delete. I don't even look at them. And to get something in the post is actually it's so novel at this stage.
It's like a matchbox with a chocolate in it, and you put your sticker on it. Nobody's expecting it. It's completely out of the blue. And we did that, like, say, for a month. We didn't do it all the time. And we'd stop and we'd do it again. It's just, and the joy of the team in the office putting it into the box going, I'm doing something nice for a guy. And the guy I'm sending to is a nice guy. I'm glad he's getting a chocolate. I put it in too. Do you know? And it cost minimal. It gained goodwill. Marketing, I love marketing. And the emails, I think emails are just... oh my God. And the physical thing, and coloured, and you've seen the colour of that box that I'm after sharing with you there. That gets your attention. If that's left on your desk, you'll see that. And you just bring, get printed envelopes. Nobody, if I leave a box, if I send a box to you, you'll open that box. If I send an envelope to you, you're going, oh, that's nice. I get your attention. The cheapest, you have a targeted customers here. I don't need, if I actually got 1,000 customers this month, I'd have a different problem. I don't need 1,000 customers a month. I need 10. So I need 10 boxes to go out there. Right, let's see, and do the maths, however many respond or don't respond. But I think we have to do something different. People want the human connection. And in a world of AI, we still have to have a human connection with one another, and we're honest, pure. Like, you look at there as you write in a post on LinkedIn or anything like that, and LinkedIn will go, oh, that's written by AI, that's a load of rubbish, go write it yourself. You're going, yeah, let's be honest, let's be human. And there's a place for AI. I'm not knocking it. We need AI in that world, but the human connection of shaking hands, having a human conversation, or a physical. When's the last time you got a letter handwritten to you?
Can't remember.
Would you open it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Think of the power of a handwritten envelope. And it doesn't work if you're looking for 1,000 customers, right? Okay, grand. If you're looking for 10, that's a different way of advertising. And just handwrite the outside of the envelope. Dear engineering manager Tom, hope you get this. And there's no one answer to all of these things. You look at all the marketing that goes on. There's no one answer. And you have to become respected, and that grows and grows, and it's other people commenting and speaking about you, and that's very interesting. So it's an area I love. I love marketing, and I don't know anything about. I'm not qualified in marketing.
What did that growth, so from 14 people up to 45, what did that feel like for you personally? Was it exciting?
It was exciting
Scary?
and scary. We took on 3 people in 1 month and vowed never to take on 3 people again. We really ran out of cash. It was, oh my God, well done on getting that job. Don't ever do that, because you have vehicles, engineers' wages, equipment, laptops, and no payback for months. It was tough. Growing at that scale eats cash. And again, it was our money. It was our money. It was our personal money. But it was brilliant, and we had a great team around us. And Willie did not do this on his own. Willie had my wife Claire and Kevin there. That's the 3 of us who were in that merger. And we had a great management team. And that grew, and we had great engineers, great administrators. Lots of people came in to the organization, stayed for 6 months, 12, 24, and moved on. A lot of the problems we had during that time, not a problem. COVID finished. My girlfriend's going to Australia, and I'm going to go with her, and I've loved working here, and I'll be gone. We lost a serious amount of people to Australia. Unbelievable. Lost a few to Canada, but none of them left to go to work with a competitor. So losing good, you're losing good people, but you're not losing them because you wronged them. And you can see the thanks in them, in helping them through what was COVID. And COVID was tough. Well, people struggling with COVID. We had a lot of people who needed that mental support of coming into the office every day. And yeah, we had a lot of tough times in that, and we got through it. It wasn't easy. But we were tight on money because we were bootstrapping. We didn't have money, and we were growing. You're growing at that rate. You're buying new laptop, you're buying new test equipment, you're replacing test equipment, you're buying vehicles, and but I enjoyed it. And then during that time, we started getting acquisition inquiries, unsolicited. The first one came just after about 18 months. And that's the one that we turned down, and we sort of going, oh, what are we doing here? This is unbelievable. We're mad turning this down. It wasn't right. It was not right. The culture was wrong. The money was, no, that's wrong. The wrong figure. And then when we told him, and he lost it, the CEO lost it in the call. Oh, you don't know the mistake you're making. You're making the biggest mistake of your lives. I'm going, nope, nope, you just proved, thank you, you just proved we're not making any mistake. That was a big one because you're turning down enough money that would have cleared the debt, and because we were under pressure. But that was from growth. Like it was, you were after taking on a serious amount of people. And then another again, I come back to the word synchronicity. So we turned down that offer first week of December 21. On the 6th of January 22, we got 2 inquiries the same day. So nobody ever explained how 2 inquiries came out of the blue on the one day. And that was the start of it. And then we went through that journey. And eventually, that was the January day come in. A third inquiry came in and a fourth inquiry came in. And we eventually signed on September 22.
Why were you getting the inquiries? Like, what was it about?
They were hungry for what we were doing. They wanted to add our calibration team to their teams. They wanted to bring their existing services into Irish customers that we had. So it was take the revenue that Calyx had acquired and grown, and then bolt it onto theirs, and then bolt their existing services onto where Calyx was. So it was to ultimately end up with a 1-on-1 being 3 scenario.
Why was it important to you? So when I think about, let's say, someone exiting their business, they might care about the people that are left behind after they go, or they might care about themselves, because if there's an earn-out or they have to stay for a number of years, they care about themselves. Why was it for those reasons that you were so adamant that this had to be the right kind of fit, almost emotionally?
We were staying, and we all said we were staying. And I remember being asked, we told the management team, and the first question was, are you staying? I'm going, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Why did you want to stay?
We were happy to stay. We wanted to see where this was going. We believed in the plan. And we got 100% up front. So this was not an earn-out scenario. This was unusual, right? We got 100% up front, and we got a nice little bump in our salary. But we didn't have to stay. We wanted to stay, and we believed in it.
Why sell?
Why sell?
I mean, if you were, I mean, it's nice to get a bump in
Cash
salary.
off the table. It put cash on the table. It put cash on the table. Willie and Claire essentially had 2 mortgages running. It was hard going. That growth. And we could have stepped back and says, all right, we'll slow down the growth. And maybe you couldn't. I don't know. Could you? Going, oh, look, somebody else wants more work done. Tell them to go away. It felt like the right time. And we couldn't grow fast enough either, because we didn't have the cash to grow. There was potential being left behind. And so when somebody comes and says, right, well, we'll de-risk what yous are doing, and there's a lump of cash, and we'll invest money into what yous are trying to do, and they believe in our vision, and we believe in their vision, and we're going, all right, well, let's do this together. And the culture was right. I have to say the culture was right. That we did the negotiations with the M&A team, but also the operations team. So we were negotiating with the people we were going to be working with. And one of the things I observed about one of the other companies that was looking for us was we only spoke to their M&A team, mergers and acquisitions. We never once met an operational person. So we would have signed the check with them and signed the document, and they would have went, lovely, great to meet you. I'm now going to hand you over to... You're going, oh, he's an idiot. I didn't know that. And I said it to that company afterwards, and I says, look, it's just, their deal wasn't wonderful either now, their offer. I said it to them afterwards, I says, that was a risk for us. Your M&A team is lovely people. I'll never meet you again. So, and actually the company that bought us didn't realise the strength of what they were having with their operations team coming in. So we had trust in their operations team. We had trust in the M&A team. So it was very, it was a tough time. It was an exciting time. Due diligence, oh my God, that's tough. You really start looking at everything there.
Was there any difference? I want to just on the due diligence part. Was there any part of it where you felt that there was value in the business, but that the ultimate purchaser of the business had a different set? So if I think about someone who's buying a business, they might look at sort of technical aspects, recurring revenue, stability in the operations. Is the CEO removed? Are they a kind of, can we remove them from the business? Those kind of things. Are they staying on? Whereas the person selling might have more of an emotional attachment. It's like, well, they're saying that part of our business isn't great, but that's a bit I started, and it's, I think it's brilliant for these reasons.
That can happen from an ego, an attachment position where, oh, that's my thing. It's a corporate level thing where they struggle. It's a board level thing where they go, okay, well, what does the figure say?
Was it nice to get the money?
Oh, it totally, because it financially solves a lot of problems for Willie and Claire and Kevin as well. Absolutely. And it de-risked what we were doing, because we had Willie and Claire essentially had two mortgages. Right? That's heavy going, There's 3 kids at home, college, you still have to. Our house got painted the year after we sold. It never got painted before that. I'm 19 years in that house before I painted it. So that's, you sort of going, all right, let's paint the house. Yeah, it's time. So it de-risked it, and we stayed on the business. Like, it wasn't a case that we were running. Definitely, we all believed in the vision of where it was going, and they believed in our vision. Yeah, it was nice to get the money. It's needed. It wasn't why I set up in 2015, but bloody hell, it proved this is the right thing to have done, and you were half mad, but fair facts to yous, yous have brought a lot of people on. I've brought myself on. I've grown as a human. It's been tough. It's when there's months where you don't get paid. There's months where you're going, this is a nightmare. And some customers are idiots. You just try and stop working with them as quick as you can. And there's other customers, you will go out of your way and I'll do anything you want. I'll get out of bed. Yeah, I'll be down to you in half an hour. I'll do what I can.
Was there ever a motivational after you sold and you kind of have no skin in the game as such, like you got paid 100% up front? Was there ever a moment for you when you thought, I'm not really as invested in this?
That only came end of last year.
Is that why you've decided to move away?
Yeah. And I was at an EO event down in Doolin and Clare last June. And I was introduced. There was a lot of new people. There was a few international people there. Oh, Willie, what do you do, Willie? What's going on, Willie? And I told him what I did, and he says, oh, you'll start again. And I go, no. And 4 times in Doolin in June, I said no. And that stands out to me, Conor. Really does. And in September, I went, I'm not enjoying this anymore. This is not. And I was doing an interesting project. I was global. I was working. So at that stage, I was rolling out a Dynamics 365 product, field service, and projects module to all the teams globally. So imagine 400 engineers across 8 different countries, and they were all doing things differently. There was 10 different ways of describing a bloody pen, and go on and on and on. And timekeeping was different, pricing was different, recording was different. And the project I was on was standardizing that across all of those teams. And September, we went to Denver, week there, rolling out to about 100 engineers in the US with the USA team. And around that time, I was going, this is what's next? Because we were coming to the end of that project, and I was going, and I wasn't getting the feeling of what's next. And there was 2 projects I identified as possibilities. And I had always said to my boss, and he knew it, and he understood it. I says, don't leave me here. Do not leave me here. I says, I'll start this for you. And I'll get up and going, and I'll run it. I says, don't leave me here. I don't want to be stuck in this. I want the next project. And the 2 next projects were, no, they weren't available. I was going, do you know what? I think we're done here. That was September, and handed in my notice in October last year, and then I had to work out my notice, and finished in January. So started. So again, come back to synchronicity. How did I get into EOS? Last September, I seen a post from Rani on EOS, and I messaged her and says, "Hi, I'd love to learn more." And I've known EOS since 2018. The values in it, the functions, the core, what it's about. It's a lot. There's a lot of similar language that I would have done in from an accelerator aspect. And equally the self-development, the exploring me to grow me so as I can grow my business or grow other people's business. And Rani rang me in a few minutes and says, "Hi, okay, this is not broken news yet. She has the authority to do a franchise in Ireland." And she rang around a few people and checked me out, and I rang a few people and checked her out, and we met, and I went, this is me. This is me. I have so much, I've lived, since 2018, I've lived core values, purpose, scorecards, and solving bloody issues. And getting down to, on the issues thing, I describe the issues thing as the sink is overflowing, the water's on the ground, and somebody's running around like a mad headless chicken looking for towels. And you're going, it's not towels we need, lads. It's somebody to go over and turn off the bloody tap that's leaking, right? What's the true root problem that's causing the symptoms that we are seeing here? And a lot of the time, those symptoms are coming from people. And I love working with people, and I love growing people and developing people and making them see things differently. Because sometimes we can't see because we need somebody else to help us see. And it's not that Mary, for example, is a bad person. It's that Mary is carrying too much in the office. It's that Mary has not been given clear instructions on how to do the task. Or Mary has an assumption that her way of doing the task is the best way, and is not aware that there's a different process, or is just not open to the idea of a different process because absolutely her way is best. So there's multiple different reasons for, one could look and say Mary is the problem. It's not Mary. It's the processes around Mary. It's the structure. Nobody else is doing their work, and Mary's trying to carry everyone else. So we have to be careful. So then you're going, oh, Mary's not able to see. You're going, sometimes it's other people around me going, okay, well, how am I? What role do I play in this? How am I contributing to what Mary is doing? Have I not brought in processes? Have I overloaded Mary? Have I let somebody else in the office get away with things that they really should be carrying on as their responsibility, but Mary's identified that I'm weak and not pulling up on them? So there's something like 82% of problems that business owners have are people related. But that's not necessarily the person. You know where I'm getting to now? It's how that person is. So it's getting down. Well, what's the true root problem in that situation? Is it Mary? Maybe it's Mary. Probably not Mary, and it's probably Mary's trying to do her best, and she needs support. She needs processes around her. She needs other people to pull their weight. We need to look at the whole process across the whole business and going, all right, well, lads, there's 20 steps in this process. we need to reduce, we need automation, we need AI. And therefore, that'll allow Mary to do her best work.
Had you had, so we talked about the kind of what it felt like growing during that period of, 14 to 45 people in a short space of time. Had you had EOS, like you were aware of it, right? But had you had an actual EOS coach and you were following the EOS template, had you had that at that stage, do you think it would have felt easier?
Yeah. Yes. Didn't know it. Did parts of EOS and core values. We lived core values, and I find core values so important. Even personal core values. Like who am I? Who is Willie? And I'm at this moment I think I'm not going into the words, but I have my own words from my Willie's core values, right? And I think I may have chosen the wrong word with the right intention, and it's misunderstood by other people. So I'm just in I'm going through that conversation with myself at the minute to go and see. But I strongly believe in core values, and they're not something that's written on the wall. They're something that's lived. Purpose. What is our vision? Where are we going to? And managing people. And, one of the tools, EOS is a 90-day world. Really, there's a load. It's a massive 90-day world. And I only wrote recently about a thing, onboarding new people. And onboarding is a very interesting thing, because if you're taking in a lot of people and their first experience of you is, this is mental, why are they running around the place? That's not healthy. You spent a lot of time and money marketing to get that person in. You've got them there. They're day one, inductions ready. And there's no laptop. There's no logins. And you're going, oh, these lads didn't know. They weren't expecting me. And then we introduced a thing called 30, 60, 90. So a simple thing. The day Connor starts with us, great. Well, we scheduled, he's here, he's in the building. This is a good thing. We're now going to schedule a 30-day review, a 60-day review, and a 90-day review with a HR representative, Connor, and Connor's direct manager here. And the first 30 days is Connor gets a small task A and B, and you have to do that. And meet at 30 days and going, did you complete that? Great. This is a green flag. Dear manager, how's this Connor getting on? Is he getting access? Has he got the training requirements? Has his health and safety all done? Has he got workwear and all of that? And then you're going, okay, well, here's another 2 or 3 tasks, okay? But you're ensuring that that new employee has a good introduction to the organization. You're also filtering out to go and find out, wow, we made a hiring mistake. How did this lad get through recruitment? This is a wrong culture fix. And you mightn't get culture in that first interview. That's a 30-minute interview. But I tell you, over the course of a month, and you review it 30 days, and you review it 60 days, you're going, okay, technically, you're brilliant. You speak well, but you do not behave well. You really get into a deeper person there. You really get to flag that. And it's an opportunity. That's a structure that came from accelerators and growth and being around peers, where you learn things from other peers. And I've shared that with other people, many other people, and they've gone and they've implemented that themselves. So there's simple tools like that where you can, and it's not specifically an EOS thing, but EOS is a 90-day world. So there's a lot of similarities going on in structures.
When I think about EOS, I think about obviously the book Traction, which you've very kindly brought to me today, and it reads like to someone who's kind of started and tried to grow a business, right? The promise of EOS essentially is freedom, right? And they talk about that a bit. Gino Wickman, talks about freedom as a kind of a core value of the whole system. And when you were talking there about implementing that process and how effective it was, I was going, I just, that sounds great, but I do not want to implement that process. I have too much going on. I'm too stressed out. And I think it might be important for people to know about within EOS that it really is about you doing you, right? And you doing what's good for you, and to um I wouldn't say to kind of spread the tasks, but it is very much about the person kind of um working within their strengths rather than i- it's going to feel like less work almost than more work, if that makes sense.
It is. EOS doesn't tell you how to run your business. It gives you the tools that you can apply to your business. Like my job as a EOS implementer is to come in and teach you how to use the tools. So it's not that I'm in service business only and we should have I can't talk to an accountant or I can't talk to a pharmaceutical manufacturing place. It's that it's across. I teach the tools. Any EOS implementer will teach the tools. We will give guidance, and then you implement them as you see fit in your business. And we get the hell out. We don't stay. We don't embed ourselves in the business. Does that answer you?
It does. It does. And I what I'm trying to do in my own mind, right, is think about the value of EOS and what it brings to a business. And I think it does. It obviously brings structure and everything to the business, but it's really for the entrepreneurs, right, and the people that have started it. You know, it's really for them personally.
EOS is targeted at the sweet spot. EOS can be used in a lot of places and it can be used above and below this. EOS is targeted for a sweet spot. Business owners between 10 and 250 employees. That's the sweet spot. It works either side of that, but that's the sweet spot. It's about letting leadership teams and leaders, business owners, get what they want from the business. And you think it as simply as the vision. And as a business owner myself, I've known where I want to go. Have I always told my team where I want to go? And think of all of those other business owners out there. They're going, they have a plan and their leadership team has a plan. It's not the same plan. It's not the same plan. And that's where, oh God, yeah, lads, we're going to move into America. Huh? Where did that come from? I thought we were going into Europe. Oh no, America's next. We're going, I thought you're. So it's the vision. It's getting the vision down on paper, an agreement among that leadership team to go and say, lads, this is the vision. It's not 10 different visions. It's one vision. And how are we going to get there? And what do we need to do what's the 10-year target? We want to be in America in 10 years. Brilliant. Okay. What are we going to do within 3 years to make that 10-year target happen? What are we going to lock into in 1 year to achieve the 3 year, to achieve the 10-year, and then come back into the next quarter, 90 days? What does everybody at this table need to do in the next 90 days to get the year, to get the 3, to get the 10? And everybody has a vision. It's not always the same vision. And that's where alignment comes about, that you share your vision with your team. You stand up, the visionary, the owner stands up and talks and says, we're going that way. I want all of you to come with me. We're going to do A, B, and C. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to do it together. And you will lock in people. Now, there might be people there going, I'm out. And that's okay. Because not everybody wants to come on that journey. Not everyone is ready, able to come on that journey. And those people will not be happy if everybody's heading for America and there's 2 there that's going, I don't want to go to America. That's okay. They're not the right people. And it's not in a cruel way or any way, but those 2 people should live their best life. But their best life is probably not in the organization that they're currently in. And EOS is about bringing that vision together, bringing communication together, making communications healthy, and to get traction. There's a meeting structure in EOS that is where you have your away days for your quarterly reviews, vision building. There is a level 10 weekly meeting, and it's a set agenda and it's a structure. It's 90 minutes, and it is when it takes time. Saying as EOS is simple, but not easy. That level 10 meeting is following a strict agenda every week as the leadership team, and then it can cascade down in the rest of the organization depending on the size, but not initially. That level 10 meeting is the opportunity to bring out issues, to discuss scorecards, discuss how you're getting on in your rocks. And it's an open, honest communication. Because the lack of openness and honesty at a leadership table causes frustration of that leadership team. And those managers, those directors are not giving their best if they're not being listened to. If you're asking their opinion and then doing the complete 180 on it, you're going, you may as well stop asking their opinion. You're going to lose them. And the potential out of this is 1 and 1 becomes 3. 1 and 1 becomes 5. If it's not that, it's 1 and 1 is 2. And maybe it's not even 2. So that's where I am. I have really believe in this. I've seen it working. I'm working with a client, and I'm see the benefit that's happening out of this for that client already is incredible. And the clarity that we did a workshop there, and the feedback out of that room, 3 of the people out of 4 used the words clarity in everything they're doing. And they have an accountability structure now as well. And it's brilliant to see they haven't changed jobs. They didn't have to go to a new employer to achieve this. They've achieved it in a company that they love, that they get on great with other people. And now the bar has, it's improved. The bar is, I don't know, they're above the bar, below the bar, whichever way. The feedback from them has just been incredible. It's driving me forward. And that's where I'm getting, I feel I have purpose now again. And I go back to last September where I went, no, I'm done here. And I had to get off at the next bus stop. And I wished the company that bought us, I wished them well, good luck, thank you, it's been brilliant. It was a great experience, but I needed to get off the bus. And I really find, I have found a purpose now, and a renewed purpose in me, helping myself. I've learned a lot. And that's somewhat where that's opening up on the core values again for me. I've met incredible people across the world in EOS. It's an incredible community. And I look forward to where this is going and what it can do and bring me. So that's where I am.
Willie McMahon, thank you very much for coming in. At this point, I might ask, where can people find you? But you have a number of books that you can give away to people who meet the requirements. So tell me a little bit about that.
So the book is Traction. It's written by Gino Wickman, and it is the normal introduction for a lot of people to EOS. And look, even if you only read the book, it's a valuable tool.
And even just reading the book, like, there are things that you can implement in your business. It's brilliant from that standpoint.
The book, who should read the book? Open-minded people who want to do different, who want to be different, who want to grow. And yes, I'm interested in talking to business owners with 10 to 250 employees. That's where EOS is. But Traction as a book is a brilliant book. It's worth reading. Obviously, it's available in audio. I can't do audio for you, but it's a brilliant read. There's a lot of books in the series. It's not a book on its own. It's got supporting books. It's got there's recommendations in it as well of a series of books, storylines where you have people and it's not talking about data. And then there is supporting books where they'll build on one issue. There's a data book. There's an issues book. So Traction is a book where people get introduced into EOS, and maybe it's tomorrow and maybe it's next year. And I'd love to help. I know from, we scaled very fast using structure, processes, and systems. And I know that the tools of EOS can help any business do the same.
So if people want a book, they want a free book, they'll contact...
We'll put the email in the show notes, and email me and say, I have 10 books I'd love to give away. So email me, and I'd love to, business owners, 10 to 250 employees. That's what I'd love. Thank you.
Excellent. Willie McMahon, thank you very much for coming in. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it, and thanks for doing it.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it.